Welcome to Heart Stories, a podcast proudly brought to you by the Caulfield Grammarians Association. I'm your host, Doreen Brown, and this season we celebrate the journeys, passions, and values of remarkable individuals, many of whom share a connection to the Caulfield community. This series is a platform for heartfelt conversations that shine a light on creativity, leadership, and a sense of community that define extraordinary lives. At Heart Stories, we believe every achievement begins with a story. Together, we'll uncover the challenges, milestones, and lessons that have shaped our guests. Through their insights, we'll explore how shared values and a commitment to making a difference inspire both individuals and communities to thrive. So, thank you for joining us. Settle in, open your mind, and get ready to discover stories that inspire, empower, and unite. This is Heart Stories. Let's begin. Joining us on Heart Stories today is the brilliant and inspiring Emma Vanzyl. A proud alumni of Caulfield Grammar School, Emma excelled academically and as a dedicated leader during her time there. She carried this passion for learning and leadership into her university years, earning a Bachelor of Science in Advanced Research with honours in genetics and genomics from Monash University. Emma's commitment to fostering community and belonging has been a defining part of her story. In 2023, Emma returned to Caulfield Grammar School as a numeracy teaching aide, seeing the school through a new lens and contributing to the very program that shaped her own academic foundation was a deeply rewarding experience. Most recently, she served as the peer mentoring coordinator for the Faculty of Science at Monash University, and she led initiatives, guided mentors, and created a supportive, inclusive environment for first-year students throughout her tenure. Emma's vision for the future is to drive research that not only advances science, but does so with empathy and purpose, contributing to meaningful change beyond the lab. Today, she shares her reflections, lessons learned, and the heart behind her leadership. We're honoured to have her with us on Heart Stories to tell her story. So, welcome again to the podcast, Emma.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be a part of the Heart Stories program.
Thank you. Amazing. Now, can you start by telling us a little bit more about yourself and what's been inspiring you lately?
Yes, so hi, my name's Emma Vanzyl. I graduated from Caulfield Grammar School in 2019, Caulfield campus,
Yep.
and I'm turning 24 next week. So
Happy birthday.
thank you. Thank you. As you just kindly mentioned, I recently completed my honours year at Monash University in
Yeah.
genetics genomics,
Yep.
where I undertook a year-long research project in kind of genetic modelling and theory,
Wow.
which was, yeah, it was incredibly rewarding and has certainly helped me discover how much I love kind of theory side, genetic side. I guess opened my eyes to possible future career directions, kind of both in academia and applied research. So
Yeah.
I'm currently kind of sitting in the transitional phase, planning what future studies will look like, which I hope to start next year. So I've got a bit of time to explore what that might look like at the moment. Hoping to travel a bit, reconnect with friends and family. I think spend some time working on kind of the more practical side of life, slowing down, getting
Yeah.
kind of back to routines, and I guess enjoying this space between big milestones.
And you've achieved so much already in those 24 years. So congratulations and well done. And excited to see where that path will lead you next. Now, looking back at your time at Caulfield Grammar School, what stands out to you the most about those years?
I know that those years were incredibly formative. I came into high school as someone who was ambitious, but definitely still figuring out who I was, like
Yeah.
all of us at that age. And I am really proud of how I kind of left at the other end, I guess, with a much clearer sense of myself and direction. Know that those were years of kind of constant exploration, academically, socially, personally. And still to this day, I feel genuinely supported by the people around me and reflect on that in a really positive light. That as teachers, kind of mentors, peers, that sense of care was a huge difference and got me through those ups and downs of teenage years.
Yeah, and they're such important years, aren't they? As you said, beginning high school and yes, learning all those different things about yourself personally and as you said, socially as well as academically. So thank you for sharing that. Now, you did mention this a little bit, but were there any teachers or mentors during your time at Caulfield who had a lasting impact on your personal or academic growth?
Yeah, I mean, there is numerous I would mention. I guess if there were time, I know two particularly stood out and still kind of resonate with today. I was incredibly lucky to have Miss Katsalis, Katerina Katsalis, or who we affectionately called Cats, as my methods teacher in years 10 and 11. She ran a very tight ship, but underneath she was incredibly warm and supportive. I know she believed in each of us, and that translated in the way she taught, challenged and encouraged us. And something that was lovely was I had accelerated methods, and kind of unlike accelerating other subjects where you're then merged with the year above, we're
Yeah.
kept as a single separate class for the 1, 2,
Oh,
and 3, 4.
right.
And it was actually in the 3, 4 year that Miss Katsalis had technically moved into a new role that didn't require her to continue teaching, and it was expected that she wouldn't. However, she insisted on staying with our class and seeing us through the 2 years. And I think that shows the person that she was entirely. And the second key figure would be Mr. Barry. He was my head of house during senior school. I personally experienced ongoing illness during those years, and he really helped me navigate this. He was always there for a chat. His office was an open door, and he would always advocate for me behind the scenes. And I actually truly believe I wouldn't have finished school with my cohort without his support. So
And support is huge during that time. As you said, particularly if you're experiencing different things, having those mentors makes such an impact and difference to that, yeah, to that period and time in your life as well. Now, you were involved in leadership roles at Caulfield. How did those experiences shape the way you understand and approach leadership today?
So I was fortunately involved in a range of leadership roles throughout high school. I think both the more formal ones and
Mm-hmm.
slightly more informal ones. For example, I know I played a lot of water polo. I had the privilege of leading the team through back-to-back championships. And that really showed me the power of passion. We had a phenomenal team, and it was that unity that drove our success more than anything. I know in year 12, I was part of the student committee and specifically worked within the wellbeing portfolio. I personally think we kind of can often associate leadership with being front and center, but I think this was kind of the beginning of realizing and seeing that the most meaningful leadership often happens quietly through kind of listening, noticing and lifting each other up. And I guess, yeah, the different types of leaders and how important it is that there is a balance and a mix between those types. And I think those experiences then definitely form the foundation of how I lead now and the roles I've had since, particularly in terms of compassionate leadership and
Yeah.
advocacy. I know myself, we can underestimate how closely team success is tied to kind of both emotional and psychological support. And although it's not seen as, I guess, part of the goal of projects, it's what makes achieving that goal possible.
I love that. And yeah, the fact that you've shared the quiet leadership, the things that happen sometimes behind the scenes that other people don't get to see. That's a really impactful, yeah, key point. Thank you for sharing that as well. Now, if you could give one piece of advice to current students at Caulfield, what would that be?
I would honestly say it's really hard when you're young and you're still figuring
Yeah.
out who you are. And to just lean towards what genuinely feels meaningful to you and trust that you'll find your way. Caulfield is honestly one of the safest places to step outside of your comfort zone. There is so much both support and opportunities. So
Hmm.
if something sparks your interest even slightly, just give it a go, and you don't need to feel completely confident and ready. Often you never do with these things. Just be
Yeah.
open to it.
Yeah, great advice. Now, why was it meaningful for you to return to Caulfield as a staff member, and what did you take away from, yeah, that experience?
I think coming back, it was in 2023
Yep.
as a numeracy aide. It was a really full circle moment. I mean, I was walking in the same hall
Yeah,
and
Gates.
past my old locker exactly. This time with a different purpose, but I think same underlying kind of goals and principles. Even though I was walking in as staff, I think the qualities and the values of the school that transfers through regardless of the
Yes.
position you're in.
Yes.
I know when I walked into that, I realized how much I had grown in confidence, and perspective since graduating, and it was really cool to then bring that back to a space that had shaped me so much.
Yeah.
I know it was really meaningful to work closely with students. That was always something I was passionate about. I actually started a Bachelor of Secondary Education
Ah,
science,
okay. Yep.
and that's kind of been on hold, something I've wanted to do and I think might complement kind of research in the future. So yeah, it was working closely with students, and I know I had always learnt a bit differently myself and felt quite alone sometimes navigating the classroom experience. So it was
Yeah.
really special to help students navigate their own challenges, sharing, I guess, my passion for maths, and yeah, creating a space where we both kind of would resonate with one another. I think also being younger and more kind of closely connected to the position they're in.
Yes.
I think, yeah, the biggest challenge, but equally the most rewarding,
Hmm.
was working with students that made it very clear from the start that maths was not their favorite subject. And I still remember very fondly this moment, one student telling me that, yeah, look, I actually kind of understand and get this now, but don't get ahead of yourself. Like understanding this doesn't actually mean I like maths. It was those funny encounters where
Yeah.
you saw personal growth in the students, and it was really special to work with them and kind of the humorous connection side. You don't kind of get in a large classroom environment a lot of the time.
Yeah.
The one-on-one was really,
Very
really,
good. Yeah. And did they know that you were a previous student of Caulfield?
yeah, yeah.
They
I was
did.
I
Yeah.
was quite open with that. I think people found out quite quickly when they're like, "Oh, you know where this room is," and
Aha.
you're, navigating things quite easily, and just I was curious asking them about, what had changed in parts of the
Yeah.
school. And for example, when I was there, in year nine, we went to China and the campus there, which is
Yeah.
now changed to Jabiru. So it was really interesting to see, even though, I was quite recently a student, see all the changes and hear about kind of the new student experiences as well. So,
So a full circle moment. Now, you wrote a beautiful reflection about your time as peer mentoring coordinator at Monash University. What initially drew you to this position and how did it evolve over the past year?
yeah, it was actually something that I was recommended to look into. When I started looking at it, I realized actually how unique the role was and a real, I guess, opportunity to make a meaningful impact. I think that can be harder in a university space where there are so many people and
It's
so
huge.
many programs
Yeah.
and so many departments. So yeah, this was a really special opportunity. So it meant I oversaw the transition program
Hmm.
for science, which is about nearly 2,000 students.
Wow.
And I think those, early stages really make or break someone's time at uni, not
Yeah.
just academically, again, kind of socially, emotionally. It's the first time people would, a lot of the time are commencing kind of life as an adult.
Yeah.
And it was awesome to have, it was scary, but
Hmm.
awesome to have a lot of autonomy over the student experience. And yeah, a challenge I guess I wanted to take on. And fortunately, I've held that position for my second year now. And I guess I've shifted from just seeing it as coordination, events, planning, kind of the key outlined objectives. And instead, now it's been an opportunity to lead more intentionally and I
Yeah.
think create momentum behind initiatives that lift people up in kind of those quiet but consistent ways I was referring to that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think definitely started back as a committee member in the wellbeing portfolio.
Now, your role included planning initiatives, mentoring others, and fostering inclusion. Can you share a specific moment or project that felt particularly impactful or meaningful to you?
I was thinking about this one for a while, and I think I started looking at it with a really broad lens of kind of projects and big events. And upon reflection, I think the most meaningful moments were some of the smaller interactions. And I know one that particularly comes to mind at the very end of the program last year, I
Yep.
sent out a reflection and kind of feedback form to the students. It was optional. You get lots of emails in uni. I didn't expect many people to fill it out,
No.
let alone kind of put anything detailed, or as soon as you see kind of a box where you have to actually write a comment,
Yep.
people tap out there. But I was really genuinely taken aback by how many responses came through and
Right.
how thoughtful they were.
Yep.
I guess both people sharing what the program had meant to them, and it was very humbling, even getting kind of personal thanks for the role I played in that. And I know I've never gone into leadership roles looking for recognition at all. So it did really mean a lot receiving this. And it wasn't a receiving praise thing, it was more going, wow, I can see that I've actually done something that mattered to people.
Yeah. And made an impact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think kind of the whole idea that a lot of the time you might not realize you're making much of a difference. You can plot away doing things that the impact can be deeper than you realize. And yeah, that
Yes.
really shone through just from a feedback form.
Now, balancing the demands of leadership with study is no small feat. What were some of the biggest challenges that you faced in this role, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, it's a great question. Balance. So
Yeah.
I think approaching any position, aspiration and enthusiasm is so important. And that's what allows us to kind of achieve big things,
Hmm.
but ultimately balance is everything at the end of
Yeah.
the day. Not just through this role, but this was a big thing I undertook, and it really showed that being pragmatic and realistic with my time and energy was gonna kind of make or break this. And
Yeah.
I needed to put systems in place that would stop or help avoid burning out entirely. And I think that meant mainly being honest with myself about what was sustainable, and also knowing when to pull back or to ask for help. I was really lucky to be working under a super supportive department at uni,
Hmm.
and by actively keeping in contact with them, letting them know how I was going and leaning on those supports,
Yeah.
I didn't carry everything alone. So while my position, I guess, was technically solo, establishing a support network from the start
Yeah.
made the program stronger for everyone, not just me. And it allowed me to then contribute kind of to the best of my ability, and also not take up everything and therefore detract from all the other bits that
Yes.
happen in life.
And can you share a little bit more about the systems that you put in place? So you would just mention the support network was one of those really important things. Was there anything else that might be, yeah, useful or helpful to our listeners?
Yeah, I really got into time blocking.
Yes, I
Mm.
love time blocking.
There we go.
Yeah.
Which was something, I hate saying this, but you hear lots of tools and you go, oh,
Yeah.
that sounds good in principle. But it was something I really wanted to try. I think
Hmm.
I had lots of different bits going on and trying to find the time and just navigate when, what, how
Yeah.
was a huge component of it. So physically sitting down kind of each weekend, and I had in my diary kind of the key appointments and
Yes.
whatnot. And I'd only ever kind of previously in a diary, I guess, just tracked appointments, classes. I
Yeah.
never actually designated all that other time in the day to specifically what I was going to do. And that allowed me to kind of approach all the times throughout the day with purpose. It didn't mean I was
Yeah.
running a crazy ship. There were definitely times that was like, no, this is to step away, to walk the dog, whatnot. Um,
Yes.
but I think it was also really valuable. I'm really big on figuring out what a task kind of involves
Mm-hmm.
holistically and then breaking it down into its parts. And then I could physically assign those parts to certain times and
Yes.
see a timeline, feel like I was progressing through it. I wasn't just kind of slowly working away, not really knowing where I stood. So, yeah, I think the time blocking idea and
Mm-hmm.
also sitting down when I had a task and fleshing out what that involved, what the
Yes.
approach would be, what I needed to do that, using that as a plan moving forward, and also kind of
Mm-hmm.
presenting it to the support network I had and saying, this is what I'm thinking. What's your opinion
Yeah.
on kind of this structure?
Mm-hmm.
And can we check in at these dates to kind of see how these bits have gone so far? And Google Calendar sharing is phenomenal.
Isn't it phenomenal? I love it.
Yeah, upon
Okay.
reflection, I think it's something that I wish I knew or I think did in high school.
Now, your career journey so far has included roles in education, mentoring, and technical fields. How have these experiences shaped your personal and professional goals?
I think I can walk away from what I've seen and done so far and clearly realize that I know I'm most fulfilled when I feel like my work has real world impact.
Yes.
That's kind of guided me towards the research I'm currently doing and hope to continue.
Hmm.
And even the programs I've been involved in. Um, I know equally working, I guess, across different spaces. So, kind of in the peer mentoring position in that office space versus in a lab,
Hmm.
um, I find a changing environment really helps motivate me. And I think it's kind of exploring and realizing these things that I feel like I can use this to make more informed, I guess, choices moving forward and things that will fit better. And
Yep.
yeah, kind of the interpersonal side as well, problem solving and working with people, not just data,
Yeah.
which can be a challenging one when you're interested in research, because that
Yeah.
can kind of direct you very much towards the data side, at least kind of the area I'm situated in. And I
Yeah.
think it comes back to also me saying that I'd always had a really strong interest in teaching and had loved the position as a numeracy aide.
Yeah.
And I'm equally drawn to potentially supplementing kind of the research with a more interpersonal role. So yeah, it's kind of that choice between being people focused
Hmm.
and technically skilled. And I think these experiences, more than anything, has shown me that the two can and in a lot of ways should go hand in hand. You don't have to choose one side or the other.
Now, leadership often sparks growth in unexpected ways, which you have shared. Can you share how this position has helped you grow as a person, perhaps in ways that you didn't anticipate?
Yeah, I would say a key thing is it changed my self-perception. I had to stop waiting to feel ready or
Right.
like I had figured everything out. Instead, it was putting that self-doubt aside, and I know I can really doubt my own abilities, and that has held me back from things in life. And it's realizing that kind of when I push myself out of my comfort zone, give it a shot, even if I thought I'd be absolutely terrible at it, I usually really surprise myself with
Yeah.
how capable I was. And I think this has given me so much more strength. And I feel like I'll, as a result, kind of be open to so many more paths moving forward.
Now, you hinted at this a little bit at the beginning, but what exciting opportunities or projects are you looking forward to next? And how do they tie into your long-term aspirations?
Yeah, so as part of my undergraduate degree, it was a research stream science degree. So I've fortunately had lots of projects along the way that I've been able to explore and kind of consolidate areas of interest. And I think the last year-long project has felt like closing a really big chapter. Where I'm looking next, it's a little tricky because this research project had taken up so much of my time and headspace that I hadn't really been able to think much beyond that until
Yeah.
recently. And at times it can be intimidating not having, I think, everything mapped out just yet. But it's also great to step back now, kind of reflect and navigate where to go next.
Yep.
I am hoping to start my PhD next year. I'm really looking forward to that next challenge, and it's great now to have time to find and narrow down on the right project, one that aligns with my interests. And I also think, just as importantly, in a lot of research, finding the right supervisors and support
Hmm.
network to guide me through that journey. It's certainly something I don't want to rush into, and it's really exciting to have the space to explore that, even bits kind of internationally, and that's something I've really enjoyed doing. And I also think I've never really had some one big end goal or
Yeah.
long-term aspiration. I've kind of just been on this self-navigation path of giving things a go and keeping going with the ones I've enjoyed. That really sums up my approach so far.
Yeah.
Even starting back at uni, I have changed unis, I've changed courses within unis, and just followed with what's resonated along the way. And I also think it's the path I'll continue down, and
Yep.
it's exciting to see where that leads.
Very exciting. I wish you all the best. Yeah, with your PhD and that pathway. If you choose to do that, as you said, having the time and space now to really think about what's in alignment with your, future goals and current goals, which is an important step to take. Now, have any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you'd like to leave with our listeners?
I firstly want to thank you for this experience and say that I really profoundly look back at my time at Caulfield so fondly, and it has really shaped so much of who I am today. Kind of the people, the experiences, values, honestly, even just all the little things that came up throughout that journey have stayed with me. So I think
Yes.
that anyone listening and even current students, stay curious, stay kind, don't be afraid to take up space, even if you're still figuring things out, because that's how you'll grow and trust the process.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Heart Stories today and sharing your experiences with our listeners. We greatly appreciate it and wish you all the best, Emma, with the future as well.
Many thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Heart Stories. A heartfelt thank you to our guests for sharing their story, wisdom, and passion with us today. Their insights remind us of what makes creativity, leadership, and community so impactful in shaping meaningful lives. Brought to you by the Caulfield Grammarians Association, this podcast celebrates the shared values that unite us and inspire us to grow, connect, and lead with purpose. We hope today's conversation has sparked reflection on your own story and the legacy you're building. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an inspiring story. Share it with your friends, family, or anyone who could use a dose of inspiration. And be sure to join us next time for another powerful conversation with a guest who has a story worth telling. But until then, take care, stay curious, and continue making an impact. This is Heart Stories. See you next time.